Hello again, my dudes, welcome back to the channel. This is Kadima bringing you another Elden Ring DLC build video, this time using one of the few remaining weapons from the DLC that I was yet to try, Queelign's Greatsword. I have infused it with Flame Arts, and I am using the Flame Spear Ash of War. This weapon has a required strength 14 and 18 dexterity with 12 faith, as the scaling when infused with Flame Art of B, Faith, Dexterity, and Strength E. Doesn't do a massive amount of damage compared to other weapons that I've used, but it is nice enough. It is a thrusting sword, a heavy thrusting sword, which will combine nicely with certain items. One of them you could think of is the Spear Talisman. Unfortunately, because it has become kind of a meme on my channel using the gnome armor set, I had to give up on that one. But in any case, continuing about the build, I'm also using a Flame Art infused main gauche for parries, and because it scales B with Faith, allowing not only for the parries of course, but also to do a little bit of damage combined with the Queelign's Greatsword. Fire Knight Seal is also on the left hand to cast a couple of incantations, amongst them Flame Grant Me Strength, and other two, as you can see on the bottom right corner, are Mesmer's incantations, and this one boosts Mesmer Flame incantations as Faith scaling requires 23 faith to use. We got 80, so we're good to go. For the armor set, as I just said, I'm using the meme Red Garden Gnome armor set. For those who are not familiar with this, it's the Fire Knight Helm, which boosts HP, stamina, and equip load, and Verdigris armor set for the rest of the pieces. I'm using Bullgoat's Talisman because with this weapon we are going to do a lot of running attacks, especially the running R2, and you gotta need that poise so you can trade and stay up to do a following R1, for example. For this to happen, I need the Great Jar's Arsenal, but if you were to use a different armor set, maybe I would recommend swapping this one for the Spear Talisman instead, which will boost your counterattacks with thrusting swords a little bit. Two-handed sword talisman is a must-have because we'll two-hand the spear, the great sword most of the time, and Shard of Alexander because we are using the flame spear, and that's a nice thing to have. If you are playing PvE, I also recommend having Flask of Wondrous Physic with Flame Shrouding Cracked Tear and also Tear. Of course, take your old spice with you. For both PvP and PvE, I've been using the FT Furnace Pot. The main reason for this is that if you actually check, this one scales A with Faith. It does quite nice chunks of damage, and it also does fire damage, which will combine with both of these cracked tears inside the flask. That's pretty much it when it comes to the equipment itself. As I said, most of what we're doing is these nice running R2s. It has quite a nice reach. The running R1 not so much, as you can see. It kind of stops in its tracks. It has a weird attacking range. The R1s are not that great. The R2s are nice, but take quite a long time to actually get, being a heavy thrust weapon. Again, the jumping R1s is a poke forward, and the jumping R2 is a poke downwards. The Ash of War, as you know, is chargeable, and one thing you can actually do, which works quite nicely, is you can run into an enemy and attack, and then wait for them to dodge roll, and then do the Ash of War. Don't fully charge it though, you have to wait for them to roll. When you see them rolling, just tap the L2 and you will roll catch them 99% of the time. Let's talk about the stats. I'm level 151, Vigor at 57, Mind at 10, Endurance 35, Strength at 14, Dexterity 18, and Faith at 80. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It does help along the way. If you are one of my regular viewers, thank you for the continuous support. Let's talk about the next examples. I always demonstrate the same two bosses, which is the only two I have alive, I'm afraid, and we'll follow those with arena examples. One thing I want to point out is that moving forward, all my videos will now be in 4K, as you can probably see, except for the shorts. I will be now editing videos on my laptop instead of the PlayStation, so I can boost the quality of the content a little bit. I hope you guys appreciate that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, if you notice any difference, if it's better this way. But enough said, let's talk about those goddamn examples. As per usual, starting with the Black Knight, we're gonna go Flame Grant Me Strength, get that old spice up, recover some FPs so we can use the Ash of War. The Black Knight, for whatever reason, decided to go camping. I don't know what the hell he was doing here. I actually managed to mess up completely right from the start, but then I just went with the Ash of War, do some damage. As you can see, the Mimic is there giving us a hand as well, doing the Ash of War. He doesn't do that much damage, however. Keep in mind this guy's got quite a lot of flame resistance. But in any case, he's finished. GG Black Knight. Now for the Chief Blood Fiend, the other example for pretty much all my build videos. We're gonna go with the Mimic Call, get him to join us. Unfortunately, he's still seeing his therapist. He just keeps, as you can see that at the right top corner of the screen, he's just confused. He doesn't really know what to do with himself. Can be a bit of a nuisance, but once he decides to join, we are just getting ready to go, get that old spice to protect us a little bit. But there he is. He's still attacking the people outside the fog. He finally decides to join us, which is very good of him, and he immediately loses the old spice. But now that we are fully buffed, it's our turn to go. Get those Ash of War hits going. Try to get him stunned, because it actually does a nice amount of poise damage. Got him stunned. Get that critical. And then pretty much just finish him off with some R1 spamming for the win. GG, Chief Blood Fiend. Now let's talk about PvP. We're gonna go with the Flame Grant Me Strength. As you can see, I've got only 2 other spells. It's just to try to get a few different kind of wins. The build itself is not really based around those spells, but it's nice to have them, especially Mesmer Orb. It's a nice move to have as a finisher. It doesn't do giganormous amounts of damage with this build. There are other ways to boost the damage of that thing to a ridiculous amount. I have made builds that use that as a one-shot. Hard to pull though. But again, the focus here is the weapon, the Ash of War on the weapon, and of course a little bit of skill show off if I can get a couple of parries going. But as you can see, the weapon does bits of 400 to 500 damage. Nothing ridiculous, but just nice enough to try and play with. Now for the next fight, of course we are gonna get a funny win out of this one, and I actually was laughing when this fight was over, because the way I managed to kill my friend here, he's actually one of my friends, was actually quite funny. 620, again this is because he's low on armor. The Ash of War did 570, nothing shabby, nothing OP either. But I killed him with the furnace pot. GG my friend. Now for the next fight, Flame Grant Me Strength. He's using a shield. At this stage I never know if I'm going to get parried, because one of the problems with this weapon being a heavy thrust sword is that it's quite easy to parry. And also, as you saw, the fully charged Ash of War didn't do that much damage. It's only 570, which is a bit funny. I was expecting a little bit more when I first started using the weapon. I'm trying to get a parry here. He's not cooperating until he does. Of course, I have to use the FT pots for the bait. It works every time, or nearly every time, depending on latency and the skills of the opponent. Now for the next one, it's my friend again. This is going to be very similar to the previous win. The difference is that it required a little bit more aim this time, because he was a bit more far away. But in any case, I've managed to kill people from one side of the map to the other with the pots, so it's nothing that you haven't seen before. But I think he was not expecting for me to just throw about 3 or 4 pots in a row, and that's how I managed to trick him and get the win. He's using a spellcaster as well, so he does have limited amount of stamina. Although he's light load, he can't exactly be spamming rolls forever. But here we go, time for some pots. This one actually didn't hit. This one didn't hit, but the next one was right on the money. GG. Now, this fight I actually started by randomly throwing a pot. I wanted to buff, but I pressed the wrong button. This guy is coming with dual wielding katanas, which is fine. Not a problem. We are going to kill him in a very peculiar way. as you are about to see. Get that pot going. You know that it does 760 damage. That one failed, but this one didn't. GG. 2 pots was all it took. Now this is going to be a very quick fight because this guy clearly has very limited experience in PvP. As you saw, he stood there because he wanted to parry me. The moment he stood, I already knew what he was going to do, so I just went with it and finished him quite quickly. Now for this fight, of course we're going to go with Flame Grant Me Strength. This guy is using the Swarm of Flies. I discourage him by using my Fire. And then I realized, Rivers of Blood, that is so easy to parry. All I need him to do is use the Ash of War. So I was just trying to get some damage going before he went with it, but he wasn't that patient. So I got my main Gosh out, ready for the parry, and now I just need to provoke him enough to use the Ash of War. There we go. And on the third hit, it never misses. That's when you do the parry. And you get it every time. Now, I'm gonna finish him with Mesmer Orb because this is just fun. Boom! Explosive. GG. Now this is going to be another funny one. This guy is actually one of my friends as well. We fought many times. He's using a good idea. He's camouflaging himself behind that dark fog, and then he uses the cannon. But that one idea has a bit of a problem. I can't see him, but he can't see me either. So if he tries that again, I'm going to go, that's right, with the pots. We are both throwing pots. Fortunately, I got better aim. 870 damage with a pot is quite nice. He's using the roar to try to interrupt me, but he's out of reach. And then I just finished him off with a running two-handed R2. GG. Now, for this one, this guy is coming with Milady and a shield. I think he's going to try to play the guard break, the guard counter move, which he did. But then I managed to get him guard broke, but I didn't manage to get the counter because I was just weirdly positioned. I tried to bait him for the parry. It didn't work, as you saw. It doesn't work every single time, but I finished him off with a running R2 anyways. Now, my friend again, the same as the fight before, he's doing the fog thing, but he forgot I have the FT pots that do 873 damage if I hit him. So yeah, that was quite a cool one. He's using the other one that leaves the fire on the floor. It doesn't do that much damage per hit, but he leaves the fire on the floor. Just it's a nice thing to try. But here we go. He's now going full casting. And then he goes with Mesmer Orb, which I kinda had a feeling that's what he was aiming at. So I managed to counter him with a jumping R1 for 500 damage. Then I managed to do another 380 damage, but didn't manage to follow up because I got interrupted by his roar. Trying to keep my distance and play safe. But then it's time for some pots. And I managed to, of course, bait the parry as I intended to. GG, brother. Moving on, we got this fella here who's gonna come kicking my face. I can tell because he's using that specific leg armor piece, and I was not wrong. I tried to do the backstab, didn't connect. He went with the dry leaf whirlwind. I managed to interrupt him, but still got hit. The Ash of War again, only 320 damage, which is a bit disappointing. I was hoping it would do a bit more than just that. Unfortunately, my aim there with the pot was tremendously bad. But then he came back with the kicks. I just stood there and did a nice R1 poke. And then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna finish you off with style. Mesmer Orb, full charge, and that was just enough to kill him. Now this one is going to be a very quick one because I can tell already he's got Vike Spear. He's gonna do some flies, and I don't know if you watched my shorts, but this is the guy that I managed to nearly one-shot with a single pot on one of my shorts. I guess he finally learned his lesson and he's no longer spamming swarms of flies. GG. Now, This guy is one of my most used opponents in my build videos. He's coming with the quick step on the Fire Knight Greatsword, which is quite a nice combination. I was hoping I would get the backstab there, but didn't manage to backstab him. He's doing quite a few nice moves. I tried to do a fully charged Flame Spear, but didn't connect. I'm just trying to play safe because he's eventually bound to miss, and I can try to trade at those stages. And that's what happened here. He missed, I managed to fully charge and then trap him against the pillar for the win. In any case, guys, this is going to be the last fight for this build video. I can give you a heads up, I'm going to parry this guy. If you are new to the channel, once again I ask that you reconsider subscribing, it does help. Leave a comment, leave a like, share it with your friends. Share any thoughts in the comment section down below, any questions you might have, or if you want to duel me. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope I'll see you in the next video, of course. You guys take care. Cheerio!